All of us know Vishal Bhardwaj as the maker of evocative films Maqbool, Omkara, and Haider. Lit for Life presents Vishal Bhardwaj, the poet. Today he talks about his book of poems, Nude, with Jonathan Gil Harris. Please welcome them both onto the stage with a round of applause. Thank you.
So if you've looked closely at your program, you will have seen that this session is called Nude, Vishal Bhardwaj. Now, if you've come here in the hope of seeing the director of Maqbool, Omkara and Haider strip, you're probably in the wrong place, because today we're going to be talking about Vishal Bhardwaj's remarkable new collection of poems, 25 ghazals, 25 nazms, called Nude. And I thought we should start by jumping straight into the nudity with a poem, a ghazal. It's, of course, because it's a ghazal, it doesn't have a title, but it's the fourth ghazal on page 8 and 9 in your collection. Aankhon mein dil ke mansoobe nange hain.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I also feel very pampered when I am not talking about my films and my poems, you know. So ये गज़ल है, इसका मतलब है आँखों में दिल के मंसूबे नंगे हैं, आँखों में दिल के मंसूबे नंगे हैं, सब अपने कपड़ों के नीचे नंगे हैं। 5 सितारा होटल के चौराहे पर, 5 सितारा होटल के चौराहे पर कितने सारे बच्चे भूखे नंगे हैं, चिथड़ों में छुपते अधनंगों से बढ़कर, चिथड़ों में छुपते अधनंगों से बढ़कर हम कपड़ों में छुपने वाले नंगे हैं। सच्चाई, ये शेर मेरी अपनी फ्रेटर्निटी के लिए है कि सच्चाई दिखलाते हैं वो पर्दे पर, सच्चाई दिखलाते हैं वो पर्दे पर, सब कहते हैं फिल्मों वाले नंगे हैं।
Wow. So, let me ask you, why did you decide to write these poems? And why did you decide to call them Nude?
Yeah, why did I decide to write? Actually, you can't decide to write a poem. It's like when a flower wants to, खिलना चाहता है कोई फूल. So there's no reason for that. There's no reason for the music to happen to you. We all sing. So some things happen to you without a reason. And thank God there are some reasons left when they happen to you without a reason. So poetry is one of that. And I have been writing for a long time. I was an in-closet poet, and I never used to share my poetry with anyone. I have been writing for past 30 years. There are some poems, 1 or 2, which is from my college days also. But in college days, everyone writes to impress girls, and everyone has something to say. But later on, when you get matured and you look back at your work and you feel ashamed that, how bad you were writing or you were composing also. So, and to call it nude, I wanted to call it actually naked. And Guldar Saab, उन्होंने मुझे बहुत डांटा कि what kind of title is naked, that's what you do, you abuse in your films, you keep the titles like Kamine, and now in your poetry also you want to name that naked. So then there was a couplet in this collection. एक शेर था कि गौर से देखो न्यूड पेंटिंग को, गौर से देखो न्यूड पेंटिंग को, कितनी पाकीज़गी झलकती है. तो मुझे लगा, फिर उन्होंने कहा कि ये न्यूड है, न्यूड तो आर्ट फॉर्म है. So nude could be there, naked is like you. So that's the difference between, I think, me and Guldar Saab. that I wanted to call it naked and he made it nude. So I am so raw and he made it sound like poetry. So that's why we kept it nude.
Because nudity, on the one hand, sort of promises an intimacy, deeply personal, perhaps even unwanted intimacy. On the other hand,
Why unwanted intimacy?
well, if you're sitting in an auditorium in Chennai, nude, it might not be something that you've wished for. But nudity suggests intimacy of some kind, yet the form you're writing in, ghazal or nazm, is a very sort of structured, formal type of poem, where you have to submit to rules of various kinds. So there's this tension between personal expression and fitting yourself into the clothing of an entire convention. The other thing that strikes me about the title Nude, in the couplets that you quoted, "Khor se deke nude painting ko," is that this nudity is expressed in an English phrase in the midst of what is supposedly a Hindi or Hindustani collection of poems. And I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about your use of languages, plural, throughout this, because this strikes me as a wonderful example of rekhta in the literal sense, a mixture of languages where you swerve between Hindi, Urdu, English. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think like few words of English, or not the few, like the many words of English have become part of our Hindi. And in India, mostly in metros, we talk more in English than in our native language or in Hindi or over here. I see people, especially the young generation and all of us. And what has happened in that we have adapted a lot of words, even in our daily language. Like there's a couplet in this, and that's what I try to do. My ideal poet, Dr. Bashir Badr, he has been doing it for a long time, because those words are ours. Like one of his couplet is, ये ज़ाफ़रानी पुलोवर उसी का हिस्सा है, ये ज़ाफ़रानी पुलोवर उसी का हिस्सा है, कोई जो दूसरा पहने तो दूसरा ही लगे. अब इसमें पुलोवर को कुछ और नहीं कहा जा सकता, पुलोवर को क्या कहेंगे हम लोग. Like that, I have also used like हम SMS text करते हैं. अब text को we can't, if I want to write poetry over text. So there's a couplet in this कि आँख का लिहाज था या के हौसला न था. आँख का लिहाज था या के हौसला न था, उसने टेक्स्ट में लिखा, कह सके जो लब नहीं. So अब इसको टेक्स्ट को we cannot say anything. And now this is the situation in our lives. Sometimes we want to say something to our friend or to our senior, but we don't have the courage, or we are shy to say. But the moment we go back to our home, we write a text, and it's very easy to say things in text which you don't have the courage to say somebody on his face. So like that, so many words I have used of English, which I use usually when, like there's one more couplet in this के वो बात करते करते ही खामोश हो गया, वो बात करते करते ही खामोश हो गया, मुझको लगा कि नेटवर्क टूटने लगा. So these, because of these gadgets we are using, there's so many situations in our life, and I want to capture our times, and this is what I think any creative person's thing is. Like one more couplet is, all these, with the phone these images comes, कि मुझसे नज़र चुराने की कोशिश में कल की शब, मुझसे नज़र चुराने की कोशिश में कल की शब आंखें गढ़ाए फ़ोन पे वो देखती थी क्या. So it's the situation. You want to avoid somebody and you suddenly start looking at your old messages as you are reading a new message. So it's that these kind of situation now, they cannot be expressed unless we use those words.
Yes.
And like you say nudity, and I say like the beauty lies in the eyes of a beholder as well as the nudity, I think.
Right. No, it's quite striking that the first poem you read out, there's the theme of nudity through the nanga that keeps popping up in each couplet. Yet nanga becomes nude painting in that particular poem. That mixture, as you say, is sort of one of the conditions of life in 21st century India, where we're moving between different languages, different media. But in a way, that mixture is also very much an attribute of Vishal Bhardwaj. And in your bhumika, your character sketch about yourself at the beginning of this collection, you talk about yourself as, I think it's, you say, Ada Ada sa lagta hai mujhe. You're not a pura musician or writer or director. You're all these things, yet you're not completely these things. And now you're adding poet to the mix.
That's also Adha. Yeah. So sometimes I feel, am I the, jack of all trades and master of none? So sometimes this question comes. Maybe, if I would have just gone into music, I would have gone deeper. But the greed is so much to explore. So I do fairly good in everything. But I know if I concentrate, or if I would have concentrated on one, I could have gone more deeper and explored myself more.
Let me ask you, I mean, you're charmingly diffident and self-deprecating about your ada abilities, which actually strike me as quite remarkable. Is there something to be said for mixture rather than purity, rekta rather than shuddha, as the basis of creativity, whether it's mixture in many languages, mixture in many art forms, like your own?
But I didn't get the question.
I'm asking whether the kind of mixture, where you say you're musician yet not musician, writer yet not writer, director yet not director, poet yet not poet, ada. You're a mixture of all these things. And is the rector of the mixture of all these professions, can it be an asset rather than a liability? In just the same way that your mixed language, which swerves between Hindi and Urdu and English, is to me also very much an asset. It's one of the creative engines of your poems, that you're not staying in one lane, but you're moving between many.
Yeah, and when I say I am a poet, not a poet, I am a poet, but not a great poet. So that's the difference. So, and because I know what the great poetry is, I know what the great music is, so you can only have one Beethoven, you can only have one Bach, and they have given their lives for that. So that's what I meant to say. I was being humble also over there, but at the same time I was meaning it because I know the difference. But that's what makes me, Yeah.
Writing ghazals, of course, is not simply about writing poetry. There's a musician's ear clearly at work.
More than musicians, it's such a stringent, abide by great rules that the people must be knowing, people must be here who know how difficult the rules of ghazals. And earlier I didn't know, even, I used to read poetry, but when I decided that whatever I am going to write should be grammar in terms of rules, it should be perfect. And that's where I discovered when I went to learn the rules of Urdu ghazal, it is so difficult. It is so difficult to bring it within the rules. Otherwise, you can say it's an open poem, or it's azad nazm or azad poetry. But Urdu is very difficult, and that's why it's a great poetry also.
Can I ask you, did the ghazals appear out of the tip of your pen or from the keyboard of your laptop, or did you hear them in your head? I'm interested in the musical component.
You know, but it's a very strange and very beautiful form. What happens in ghazals, that you say one couplet. I'll give you an example, so that's how you will know. You know, जैसे like I couplet I read, that was आँख का लिहाज था या के हौसला न था, उसने टेक्स्ट में लिखा कह सके जो लब नहीं. Now I had this image in mind of that the people say things when they go back and they send you SMS, and you know, they didn't want to say it on your face. So this was the image. So this couplet came first. Now if you want to say ghazal on this, and sorry because I'm many people must be knowing about it, but those who don't know, I am telling these things. So what happens then? The rule becomes that love is going to be a rhyme in this. So जो भी उससे मिलता हुआ rhyming होगा, लब नहीं, शब नहीं, सबब नहीं, talab nahi. So then those are fixed. Then when you want to say a sher, you say the second line first. You decide, you say the second line first, and then you find the first line. So they are called Ula Misra and Sani Misra. So first you say the Sani Misra, and on that decides that what is going to be the first line. And then you have to say it in such a manner, the first line, that the surprise of the second is not revealed. And that's the beauty. Like, जैसे ये गज़ल है कि किस लिए उदास हूँ, कुछ भी तो सबब नहीं. किस लिए उदास हूँ, कुछ भी तो सबब नहीं. आपसे भी मिलने की अब कोई तलब नहीं. जिसमें दिल दुखे नहीं, जिसमें आँख नम न हो. जिसमें दिल दुखे नहीं, जिसमें आँख नम न हो. ऐसा कोई दिन नहीं, ऐसी कोई शब नहीं. So, yeah, so this is a very interesting form which I also discovered very late. I have been acquainted with this, I knew this form, but when I started writing, then I realized the power of this poetry and the great masters like Ghalib, Mir, Dagh, what all they have said within these roles. Oh my God, that's why they are masters.
There's a strong sense reading these ghazals and nazms of other voices there too. Ghalib is there, you have a nazm called Mirza, Gulzar is there. I want to suggest that there's another Sufi poet haunting these poems, and that's a peer named Shakespeare.
That's very good.
And let me just quote one couplet and see whether people pick up on it. It's the 12th ghazal, so it's page, yes. इतना धीमे धीमे वक्त गुजरता है, कोई अहमक जैसे सुनाए अफसाना. The English translation perhaps gives it away. It's so slowly does time drag, like a tale told by an idiot. No, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. But the ghost of Maqbul seems to be walking through this. Could you possibly talk about how your engagement with Shakespeare is perhaps not that far away from what you're doing with these ghazals and nazms.
Yeah, I mean, Shakespeare was, like you said, great peer. So, his observation of humanity and the human conflicts and the human being is so deep and so correct. And so he was such an observant writer, person, that उनके बाहर जाना बड़ा मुश्किल है. And that's why I wanted to hide one couplet with this कि कितना धीमे धीमे वक्त गुजरता है कोई अहमक जैसे सुनाए अफसाना. So that's why Shakespeare will always remain in my work, and I cannot go beyond Shakespeare. And I'll also keep making more films now on Shakespeare's work.
Thank God, which keeps a Shakespearean like me in business for the next few years. Thank you.
Shakespeare is like my trump card. Whenever I feel, I am drowning or I am losing a lot in my, in my game, so I bring my trump card. Okay, here, my trump card is here.
As a Shakespearean, I'm not going to let Shakespeare go so quickly. So I just want to ask you another question about Shakespeare. And in particular, your adaptations of Shakespeare. What strikes me as really remarkable about them is that they're not simply renderings of the stories. They are profound engagements with the music of Shakespeare. And it's important to remember that Shakespeare was not just a storyteller, but was in his own way a musician. He was a craftsman with poetry at the level of sound as much as beautiful image. And let me embarrass you. I've embarrassed you this way once before. But there was a wonderful moment in Omkara that suggested to me that it's precisely because you are not only a writer and a director, but also a musician, that you are capable of hearing something in Shakespeare that other adapters of Shakespeare on film don't hear. Shakespeare loves to use a certain kind of iambic line which falls. So there's this wonderful moment in Othello where Othello and Desdemona, it's a very Masala filmy moment. Othello and Desdemona have been separated by Tufan and they're reunited. And Othello says, "Oh, my soul's content if every storm should end in such calmness." Now that could have been a perfect iambic pentameter if after every storm such calmness come. But he chooses to end it not with such calm, which would have been the perfect iambic beat, but with such calmness. There's a dropping off, a falling off there that suggests Othello is feeling a little bit nervous or diffident about his relationship with Desdemona. And I wondered, how on earth do you capture this in a Hindi film that doesn't use, Hindi doesn't use iambic pentameter? And then I heard your song, O Sati Re, and something happened to me. It hit me in the solar plexus. The lyrics go, O Sati Re, Din Dube Na. There's this, yeah, I had to. And there's this wonderful sense of the fall that you also get in Shakespeare's iambic pentameter with that extra syllable that falls. It was almost as if you were hearing Shakespeare's music as a musician as well as a storyteller. And so that's why I want to come back to the question of whether being other writer, other director, other musician may in fact be a virtue in being able to communicate musically an emotional story that goes beyond the simple sort of plot. So how do you think your sensibility as a writer of poetry and as an adapter of Shakespeare might be a profoundly musical sensibility?
Yeah, because I became a director, film director, because I wanted to employ myself as music composer. And that was the basic need, and I'm very honest about it, because I entered this film industry as a music composer, and my first film was Marches. And after that, thank you. So as soon as when I got success, with the same velocity, I started going down, because I was asking so many questions to my directors who employed me as composers. So within 3-4 years, my career was coming down. So I guessed that, and I'm an intelligent person, that I know. So because I know I'm a fool. So one who knows that he's a fool is a very intelligent person. So that's what I knew, and to employ myself, I knew that I'll go out of work. So that's why I started looking at other professions, and I realized that this medium belongs to director. Even if he's wrong, he's the boss. Nobody questions him. So that's where this Adha director thing came.
Yeah.
But of course, music plays such a big role in my films. And when I was doing Othello, even Bidi Jalele, the situation is there in that play. When we were doing Heather, me and Basharat, we were doing together that song of the Grave Diggers. It's there. So Shakespeare is so musical, he's so Bollywood, he's so filmy. So, and it was perfect for me.
What makes Shakespeare so Bollywood for you, beyond the possibility of these musical numbers?
I think more than Bollywood, because his, when I never read Shakespeare in school, what Merchant of Venice and all that, we all are forced to read in that school time. So my acquaintance with Shakespeare was that of a scary person, who comes and scares you in the exams time. But later, when I accidentally I read Macbeth, and at that time I was matured, I was must be 30, 31, and that time I realized that who Shakespeare is, and then I went back and I read all his plays. So then I realized that I don't know about other countries, but I know other countries, I think it's world over, it's true. The literature is taken as a boring thing. That unless it's boring, it can't be literature. And good, we are talking about this in a literary fest. Yeah, so that's what the image is, and especially in the commercial world, in the commercial cinema world. I remember when I was trying to raise money for Makbul, and I used to go to the financiers and studios, and I must have narrated Makbul script to almost all the producers and all the available stars in those days. So everyone had a different, one big star told me after reading the script that it's a very good script, but the problem is hero is a loser. So I said, it's not my fault, it's Mr. Shakespeare who made the hero loser. But one financier who was a very close friend of mine, he told me a very interesting thing. And when I look back, I realized that how we have changed since then till now. He told me that, I can't give you money to make this film, of course, but I can give you very good advice. On your the top page of your script, you have written Makbul based on Shakespeare's Macbeth. The second line, please take out that based on Shakespeare's Macbeth, because people will think that is something literary and nobody is going to give you money. So that's what struck me and that remained with me. But I said no. I want to I want people to know that literature can be more entertaining than the pulp fiction. Yeah.
So, can we turn to your nazms now? And I'd like you to read out a nazm on page 54 4:55, called Main. Main hi tha wo main hi hoon.
Yeah, this poem was also actually, it was first written at the set of Heather, when Irfan's character Ruhdar, he was chained and he's captured by the forces and he's being tortured. That's where Irfan asked me to give him something, because there was, and he narrates one poem to his fellow prisoner. So that I had to write in half an hour. I told Irfan that over here, if I write any dialogue, it will feel very false. So what we can do, we write some poetry so we get away with anything. So let me write one poem for you. So I quickly wrote this poem. But later I realized the subject, the matter of the poem is very good and it needs more attention. So then I over the 3-4 years, I embellished this poem, and then this is my first nazm in this nazm, in the section of the nazms. कि मैं ही था वो मैं ही हूँ, मैं ही था वो मैं ही हूँ, दरिया हूँ दरख्त भी, अर्श भी हूँ फर्श भी, दरिया हूँ दरख्त भी, अर्श भी हूँ फर्श भी, दैर हूँ हरम भी हूँ, दैर हूँ हरम भी हूँ, सुन्नी हूँ शिया भी हूँ, पंडितों के हाथ में आरती के दीप सा, काजियों के माथे पे सजदे का निशान हूँ, पादरी के सीने पे झूलती सलीब हूँ, मैं ही था वो मैं ही हूँ.
Kya baat. I'm struck again by the sort of theme of multiplicity, that there are many seemingly contradictory identities at play in this one identity of man. And that this poem sort of captures what we were talking about earlier. On the one hand, this is very much an exercise in a formal genre, and this echoes poems by Sarmad and others, Sufi poets. On the other hand, it seems to be very expressive of you and your multiplicity.
Yeah, because the religion is the one thing I hate most. And I hate more the people who, who fight or who take advantage of the religion. So this is my thing is, I'm everything. Yeah.
I was struck reading this, how these are poems, they're exercises in style, there's something intimate about them, but there's also something very political about them. That first poem you read out about the naked people in Parliament, or the semi-naked people in Parliament. I'm wondering how you would characterize the politics of these poems. Do you feel they have a politics? Are the politics anti-political? Or are they a politics even of mixture, of refusing singularity, purity, one identity, embracing a multiple mix?
I mean, if you don't react to the politics, then you are not alive. Then you're dead. And especially in current times, and you have to be more expressive, smarter, and careful at the same time. So, yeah, of course, I have a political voice, and I want to scream with that political voice, but I can scream through my my poetry.
All this connects for me to the very last nazm that you write about Osho, and the couplet where Osho says to you, "Ek dunya tumhare bitra hai, anginat log jisme rehte hain." There are 1,000 people, 1,000 voices thriving in your world. Again, how might this link to your love of Shakespeare, the sense of 1,000 voices in you, in Shakespeare, in India at a time when we're being asked to silence our voices or speak in one voice more and more?
Yeah, they are all great. Shakespeare was one of the great mistake. So is Osho, and that's why I wrote this poem about Osho. So there are like portraits in this, which is one of Guldar Sahab, one is for Osho's impression on me, and like I wrote in my introduction, that there are many couplets which have the subject of those couplets are inspired by Osho's discourses, because he also speaks, when he speaks, it's like poetry.
Could you read one last nazm for us, Intimacy? I forget the page number it's on. I think it's page 68 and 69. Yes, 68 and 69.
Yeah, so this is called Intimacy, and Hindi mein Hamdami. This is a glimpse of a married life. The scenes, like there was a film called Scenes from a Marriage. So it's the scene from a marriage. The night of a married life, yeah. कि खेल चला कुश्ती का शब भर आंगन में, खेल चला कुश्ती का शब भर आंगन में, और फिर भी ना जीता ना हारा कोई। खेल चला कुश्ती का शब भर आंगन में, और फिर भी ना जीता ना हारा कोई। दोनों लड़ाकू पहलवान गुत्थम गुत्था, दांव पेच में माहिर शातिर लगते थे। दोनों लड़ाकू पहलवान गुत्थम गुत्था, दांव पेच में माहिर शातिर लगते थे। धोबी पाट से मुंह के बल जो गिरता एक, धोबी पाट से मुंह के बल जो गिरता एक, दूजा टांग पछाड़ का पेंच लगा देता। रोते थे, चुप होते थे, चिल्लाते थे। माजी कभी जलाते कभी बुझाते थे। पौ फटने को थी और अब उन दोनों को अपनी अपनी दुनियाओं में लौटना था। करवट लेकर बिस्तर पर बेहोश गिरे। काफ़ी वक्त के शादीशुदा इंसानों में कितनी करीबी हमदमी दुश्मनी होती है।
Again, I sense the ghost of Shakespeare there. How intimate is the enmity? My only love from my only hate, Romeo and Juliet. Although this is perhaps Romeo and Juliet after they've been married for 25 years.
They remained Romeo and Juliet because they didn't marry. If they were married, there wouldn't have been any Romeo, Juliet or Laila Majnu.
So we have time for questions, and just before the hands start going up, can I ask two things? First of all, that the questions be brief, not statements that pretend to be questions, but actual questions that are brief. And secondly, I really want to encourage women as much as possible to also put their hands up, because we've been hearing a lot from men today. I'm happy to hear from men too, but let's hear from a mixture of people as much as possible. It's hard for me to see, so yes, here.
Very good evening to everybody here. I just wanted to ask Vishal sir, like, what is going to be the next film that will be based on Shakespeare tale?
There are many plays, and I can live my life on Shakespeare. So, but I pick up his play when I get the backdrop of it. So still I am struggling to get the backdrop of, but one thing is I think I'm quite sure of, that I want to make a trilogy of his comedies.
So I had a question, sir. So my question is related to nepotism in Bollywood. And I could not ask this question to Karan Johar sir because there was a lack of time due to that. So if an ordinary person, he wants to make a career in films, he wants to become an actor, then what are the opportunities to him? So because I find that I also tried to do something long back and everybody laughed at me and I became a laughing stock. So I came back and I started doing journalism. So I became successful in that. So I became successful in journalism, but I could not become an actor. So now I want to know, sir, what are the opportunities available for a common man, for an ordinary person, so that he can make a career in Bollywood?
I think if the journalists if journalists try to become an actor, he'll be successful. With your history, I think it'll be, you wanted to become an actor and you became journalist. I think this is not the platform for Bollywood or for, how to become an actor. I think we are here on a bigger platform where we can go beyond Bollywood.
Aditya, did you face any difficulties during translations, like last year when Guljar Saab suspected poetry came? There was a line like "बुड़-बुड़ करता बुढ़ा," तो पवन जी ने उनको बोला था कि बुड़-बुड़ करते बुढ़े को मैं कैसे translate करूं? So like that in your poetry?
Yeah, I mean, there were difficulties when you read the poems, so you will know. But of course, every language has its own expressions. And then when the translation is done, then it becomes a new identity. It doesn't remain what the original is. It has its own identity, and that's what we should also accept.
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to point out to the beginning of the discussion where there was this talk around the topic of the poem collection, which is Nude or Naked. And as Jonathan had rightly pointed out, we are somehow not very comfortable with the concept itself. I mean, it is very intimate. And somewhere it is maybe, associated more with females. You talk of nudity and maybe, I mean, I'm not saying that that's a right perception, it's just a perception. And if I look at your trajectory of movies, I mean, the females have been very bold, very much there. They are the central theme. And the nudity, if I have to say, it's that of the human emotions which comes out, which the movies bring out in an extremely, touching manner. So just wanted to understand, is there any particular inspiration behind this collection of novels or a message from, people may interpret it in different manners. Is there something which we need to be cognizant of when we look at this collection of poems?
This is the poetry is always is a very individual expression, and that individual expression of that individual's relationships, his reaction to the surroundings, to the politics of religion, the politics of relationships, and his own expression of very small things like a sunset, or like a teacup having a tea at the sunset. And that observation is there, it's my expression, the moments I have felt in life and the relationships I have gone through, and my observation of life. So it's a very individual, and poetry is individual, I think.
एक तो ये कि आपने जितनी खूबसूरती से आधे होने को भी एक खूबसूरत जामा पहना है, वो वाकई में काबिल तारीफ़ है, क्योंकि ज़िंदगी में हर इंसान मुकम्मल नहीं होता है. और करीब 150 साल पहले गालिब साहब भी यही कह गए थे कि रेख्ता के उस्ताद तुम ही नहीं हो गालिब, कहते हैं अगले ज़माने में कोई मीर भी था. और दूसरी बात मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाहता था कि आपने जो अपनी नज़म में न्यूडिटी के बारे में कहा है, तो वेदर इट इज़ बिकॉज ऑफ द economic inequality in life that we see around us, or is it because of the nudity in our ideology and the difference between what is there in the heart and what comes out of the mouth and all that? Because as a poet, I'm sure you observe the world around you and then you pen it down. So what exactly was in your mind when you wrote those lines?
About the two lines of this couplet?
वही जैसे एक शायर है जो देखता है वही लिखता है, दिल में महसूस करता है फिर उसको लिखता है. तो न्यूडिटी कैन बी बिकॉज ऑफ द लैक ऑफ रिसोर्सेस, गरीबी की वजह से हो सकती है. और दूसरा हो सकता है कि
नहीं, न्यूडिटी बाय चॉइस भी हो सकती है, नॉट लैक ऑफ रिसोर्सेज, न्यूडिटी बाय चॉइस भी हो सकती है. एंड इसमें जो न्यूडिटी का जो इट्स नॉट न्यूडिटी, इट्स न्यूड. एंड द कपलेट जिसकी वजह से टाइटल आया है वो है गौर से देखो न्यूड पेंटिंग को कितनी पाकीज़गी झलकती है. सो ये देखने वाले की आंख में है, वही पेंटिंग को ऑब्ससिनिटी भी कहा जा सकता है. एंड वही पेंटिंग एक ब्यूटीफुल आर्ट फॉर्म भी है. और हम लोग इतना इस टाइटल के बारे में, इस फिल्म के, एक फिल्म थी न्यूड जिसको बंद किया गया, या जिसको जो अब हमें स्कैंडलस लगता है न्यूड टाइटल, हम उस देश के हैं जहाँ पे खजुराहो के मंदिर बने हुए हैं, जिसको जो कि फॉर्म है जहाँ न्यूडिटी, जहाँ लव मेकिंग जो है वो एक प्योरिटी आर्ट फॉर्म की तरह देखी गई है. तो कहाँ से कहाँ हम लोग पहुँच गए हैं, हमको आगे जाना था और हम कितना पीछे निकल गए. आई होप एंड प्रे कि कभी वो दिन ना देखना पड़े कि ये हो कि खजुराहो के मंदिर भी गिरा दो. और शायद वो कोई दिन दूर नहीं है कि मतलब मंदिर बनाने की भी बात चल रही है और मंदिर गिराने की भी बात हो जाए.
Sir, I went through one of the interviews of गुलजार साहब, जिसमें उनको पूछा गया था कि क्या एक पोएट या राइटर को इज इट नेसेसरी फॉर अ पोएट और राइटर टू बी सैड टू राइट. तो उन्होंने कहा था कि गम थोड़ा ज़्यादा रहता है और खुशी फुलझड़ी जैसे निकल जाती है. तो आई वॉन्ट टू हियर इट फ्रॉम यू, मीन्स आपका क्या लेना है, क्या कहना है इसके ऊपर. इज इट नेसेसरी फॉर अ पोएट और राइटर टू बी सैड टू राइट समथिंग गुड, और इट कम्स आउट लाइक दैट.
मुझे लगता है शायर को गम में रहने में खुशी मिलती है. They like to be sad, so they can enjoy their sadness, and there is some beauty in sadness. And wo sadness is even in romance. If there is not sadness is there, it's not romance.
Sir, the kind of themes that you've kind of handled, the Oedipus complex in Haidar, the subterranean tension between the mom and the son, and also, homosexuality, it came in a very, in Kamine, that brother, who kind of gets killed. So I really like your films, and I think if there is one director who can make a movie like Moonlight, which was made in, Hollywood, I think it's you. And मुझे ऐसे लगता है कि सर अभी ये जो कंटेम्प्रेरी इशू है, इतनी मतलब जो मुहिम चली हुई है, तो इसके ऊपर आप क्या टिप्पणी करेंगे सर?
कौन सी मुहिम आप क्लैरिफाई
जो
करें? बहुत सारी मुहिम
LGBTQ की जो राइट्स की जो बात चल रही है अभी, मतलब जो पब्लिक डिस्कोर्स चल रहा है, जिस तरीके से मतलब अदालत भी आ गई है इस कॉन्वर्सेशन में, पॉलिटिशियंस भी आ गए हैं. सो
आई थिंक जिस तरह की गैदरिंग में हम यहाँ पे हैं, यहाँ पे तो कोई भी नहीं अग्री करेगा कि ये आर्टिकल रहना भी चाहिए. ये हमारा फंडामेंटल राइट है कि हम अपने कमरे में क्या करें. स्टेट हमको कोई बताने वाली नहीं है कि हम अपने कमरे में किसी के साथ कैसा बर्ताव करते हैं. स्टेट इज़ नॉट देयर फॉर अस टू डोमिनेट अस इन डिसाइडिंग व्हाट वी वांट टू डू इन आवर रूम्स. तो यहाँ तो कोई एग्री नहीं करेगा. आई थिंक इस कमरे के बाहर जाके हम इसको डिस्कशन करेंगे तो शायद फ़ायदा है.
Hello sir, first of all thank you for the great work. I've been following you, all of us have been following it a lot. So आपसे ये question पूछना था, apart from just Shakespeare, what particularly Indian writer or Indian director जिसको आपने बचपन में देखा है, what has inspired you to work, जिसको देख के आपको लगा this is turning point, this is how I want to make films, which has maybe motivated you?
बचपन में तो नहीं था, क्योंकि बचपन में तो सब लोग हम लोग कमर्शियल फिल्मों के ऊपर बढ़ते हैं, तो वो जो फिल्में एंटरटेनिंग और जो सामने होती हैं उस वक्त तो कुछ और होता है. बट लेटर या ऑफ कोर्स सत्यजीत रे मुझे बहुत पसंद थे, और उन ऋत्विक घटक, उन सब का काम बहुत पसंद था. और मुझे पोलिश फिल्म डायरेक्टर हैं किस्लॉवस्की, उनसे उनका काम देख के मुझे मेरे अंदर फिल्म मेकर जगा. और हिंदी लिटरेचर में तो बहुत मुंशी प्रेमचंद को बहुत बहुत ही पसंद है मुझे. मुंशी प्रेमचंद, शरद जोशी जो इतना अच्छा सटायर लिखते हैं. देन दुष्यंत कुमार की पोइट्री मुझे बहुत पसंद थी. सो बहुत सारे नाम हैं जी.
Sir, you were talking about incorporating words like text and pullover in your poetry. But there are many people who criticize that, who saying that it is a corruption or dilution of the so-called purity of the language. So how would you respond to criticisms like that, and how do you see the evolution of language, so to speak?
But I shouldn't take notice of that criticism because everyone has, their point of view. I completely disagree because, like, मैं अभी भी आपसे बात करते हुए आप मुझसे अंग्रेजी में पूछ रहे हैं और मैं अंग्रेजी में जवाब दे रहा हूँ, तो ये लफ्ज़ हमारे होंगे, अब उनके नहीं हैं, अंग्रेज़ों के नहीं, तो हम लोग अपनी पोइट्री में यूज़ कर सकते हैं. This is what I think.
Sir, I would like to ask about King Lear. Mani Ratnam made Godfather as Nayagan, and then Kamal Haasan made Godfather as Devar Magan. So they say King Lear is the basis for Godfather. So would you reinterpret King Lear as Godfather if you were to make a movie?
You're saying that would I reinterpret Godfather?
Yes, sir. If you would make King Lear as Godfather, like.
I think Godfather has been such a great work, even the book and the film both. And so every filmmaker has been inspired by that, and I think that inspiration came in a small way in Maqbool. So it was there, and Nayagan was a great film over here.
Unfortunately, we've got no more time for questions, but can you all join me in... Sorry, I've been told that we have to finish, but it's been a fantastic conversation. Thank you, Vishal ji.
Thank you.